Constitution in the United States is to regulate governance in this country. It is not authorized to go nation building around the world. It's not authorized to go prop up Israel or prop up North Korea or anybody
impose our
else.
will on somebody else.
Or stay out of the Middle East politically,
Right.
any of that. That's not in our Constitution. That's not the American way.
Right. It's not my nature to tell anybody how to live their life.
Right. Well, you've been over to Vietnam as a tourist after many years after the war. I was over there during the war, and we noticed, maybe we should be minding our own business as a nation. And the people that live on this land, that gather the chicken eggs in the morning, milk the cows, mend the fences, work the forest, improve the land and sustain the land, and enjoy their lifestyle doing it. Those kind of people, that's what America is. And we don't need government to do that. So, I'm sure that our government fans will not like this conversation so much, but maybe they can think about some of the things you're saying.
And I would like to add something to that, they might not like this conversation. I just want the voting people that might be watching this to understand, as an anarchist, they have nothing to fear from me, because I have no desire to impose my will on them. But they're using a political system to impose their will on me, and if they're okay with that, I don't know how, by them supporting the system that allows these things that I find immoral to occur, they need to consider that.
I think they need to think more deeply into it, just pause and reflect on it. Well, let's see, my tax dollars helped build bombs and drones to deliver the bombs on people I don't even know. For now, these are happening in countries that have no way to attack us.
Right.
It's not defense.
No.
It is the abuse of the U.S. military to keep their trade lanes open around the world for the corporate dynasty. That's what that's all about. And when we are saying, hey, stop these wars, that's to the benefit of the soldiers who later in life will have my burden, which, quit college in 1965, answered the call to arms, joined the Marines, volunteered for Vietnam, go over there and raise hell in a really beautiful tropical paradise country with a 2,000-year-old primitive culture that was slowly thinking about modernizing a bit, and wreck everything. Give the troops Agent Orange, if the ones that lived through it, and kill 58,000 Americans and 2 million Vietnamese people, all for Wall Street and an illegal, undeclared U.S. act of foreign aggression. So now, at the time, I came through Parris Island boot camp with the Marine Corps. I went through ITR, infantry training at Camp Lejeune, and ended up in Vietnam wanting to kill people for my country. And, 20 years later, I found out, hell, my country's government lied to me and lied to the world and the American people. And that's a guilt that I cannot undo that. I did it. I helped wreck another country that was no threat to the American people in any way. And the soldiers that are over there deployed in the Middle East right now, or anywhere else in the world where they're deployed, need to know these things while there is a chance that they can think about them and maybe consider saying no while they're in the service, or getting out of the service and helping others who have awakened spread the word about the insanity of our foreign policy. So, I don't know, but you and I see eye to eye on that. I have to live with the guilt. I forgive myself for being naive and oblivious and believing in the federal government. I no longer accept or believe in that federal government other than as the compact created by the several states which 13 sovereign nation-state republics, each with their own constitution, each authorizing of their own sovereignty to send delegates to Philadelphia to improve their Articles of Confederation, which got sidetracked by James Madison and turned to the creation of a national government without the people who sent those delegates there really knowing what they were getting into. And we are now living under a centralized government that thinks it owns the states that created it. That little observation is something that all Americans need to look at,
for sure.
meditate about. Well, the states created it. Nobody from the federal government signed the Constitution. Only the states signed it, ratified it, and made that central government a reality. Looking at its limitations, starting with the 10th Amendment, working back, our government should be small and frugal, like Ron Paul said, and it has enumerated powers listed in black and white. We're seeing, excuse me, we are seeing what I call the ranch revolution, where ranchers from the Bundy Ranch to the Hammonds in Oregon, to the Hages, to the Finnecums, ranchers are starting to just say, look, the BLM may be authorized to manage public lands and territories, but once a territory has been brought into statehood with an enabling act on equal footing with the first 13 states, then in a reasonable amount of time, the federal government is required to turn over the management of public lands to the state. Once the state has developed enough to manage the public lands properly for everybody's benefit, the feds are to pull out. Instead, the feds are encroaching ever more increasingly year by year, putting farmers, ranchers, loggers, miners out of work. And all of this coincides with the Agenda 21 program of the United Nations, which is designing plans to get you off of this land and me off of the land where I live. And American people should think about that. It's just one of many things they should think about. Well, you think about it, and you've lived your answer to it, which is peace, love, and property ownership, privacy rights, personal authority to run your own life, be your own man, self-govern, and that was key to Thomas Jefferson, who wrote the Declaration of Independence, right? So, you want to? I've just blathered a lot there. Do you want to add anything to what I just said?
Well, I guess I'd encourage anybody watching this, if what you know of anarchy is what you've been taught in the schools or what your government has taught, then you're only getting half the picture. You're getting, the history by the victor, and there's always two sides to a story. If you have a negative view of what anarchy is, then you have a distorted view based on somebody that fears it, because in a market of free ideas, we had the winning, or the better one. If it was allowed to grow, government would become obsolete, and I don't know.
Well, you want to talk about world disarmament? That's a good approach to it. The individual waking up, accepting his personal responsibility to live his true philosophy of freedom and personal autonomy, personal sovereignty, as the source of all sovereignty. So, thank you, Jeff, very much, man, for sitting down with me. It's a wonderful day and a wonderful place with wonderful company here. I've enjoyed shooting the breeze with you, man.
Me too, always.